Hey, everybody on YouTube, and let me check if we're still on Facebook. And everybody on Facebook, I'm live right now on YouTube and Facebook. And I just wanted to come to you tonight, give you a little bit more information about my story and all that's happened to me, a little more depth to it than what I probably did in the past. And right now, I've only got one person on, so I'm giving it another minute on Facebook here before I start. See what we got in YouTube. YouTube, we got can't tell here, but so all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and start, and everybody can just catch it later. So the other night I was thinking back. I've been thinking a lot. I lost my mom in March, so I've been thinking a lot about past stuff, and then last night I was looking back at the hospital records from my coma and just kind of thinking about it all again. And so for those that don't know, in my late 30s, I was doing plumbing work, journeyman plumbing work, traveling around Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas, Arkansas, set up new motels. And I'd be gone for a week or two at a time, usually a week, come home on the weekend, go back Monday again on out on the road. I would do that, and after a while, I would coughing a lot and started to get sick when I come back on the road. So I'd go to the hospital, and they'd say I had bronchitis, and they'd give me, breathing treatment, oxygen, and all that, and send me home. And this kept going on, and then finally, I moved to Texas, and when I moved down, I went off the road, and my girlfriend and I at the time moved to Texas, where I used to live. Moved back down there, and I took a job with Nissan then, and I was working with Nissan Credit. And so I had insurance. So I started going to the doctor because I was out of breath and all that. He put me on an inhaler, and I think the first one was Pro Air, the rescue inhaler. And then after a while, I went back and was like, "Hey, this is not working anymore. I need something else." And so then he would give me, I don't even remember what the first one was, but Advair or whatever it was from Symbicort, whatever. And then I'd go back eventually. Hey, this isn't working anymore. Next thing you know, they'd add me on more medicine. And then next thing you know, they said I needed cholesterol medicine. And the next thing you know, I needed high blood pressure medicine. And then, I'd have bouts where I'd get sick and they'd put me on Prednisone. And then next thing you know, I was gaining weight. So, flash forward in about 4 years after following the doctor's orders, doing everything they told me to, I was 190 pounds. I'm a small guy, 5'5", so 190 pounds is a lot of weight on me. I was on oxygen. I was on Symbicort, Advair, Pro Air, and there was another one, I believe, but I can't remember what it was. On top of tons of meds. At one point, they had me on 22 meds. And so anyway, I was not on Facebook. I was not an activist. I had just a few friends on my Facebook that I went to high school with and family, that type of thing. I was a normal person. Really didn't really care. I didn't think about the future much then, and was really about making money. And that was my focus for a long time. So anyway, I used to drink a lot. My ex-girlfriend and I used to drink every night. And so I lived in a small country town, drank, worked, did our thing, whatever. And then all of a sudden, one day, I woke up and I felt like my nose was swelling. And I thought maybe I was having a sinus infection or something like that. Because I'd had like surgery before up to like I had a deviated septum and all this. So I just thought it was sinuses. So didn't think much of it the first day. The next day, it started getting worse. And then I guess I was getting the sores in my nose too, and it was starting to swell. So we finally went to an emergency room in McAllister, Oklahoma. It's a small emergency room. And they gave me a Benadryl and sent me home. So went home, did our thing, went to bed, woke up next morning, worse, swelling again, and starting to have pain. So we went to Muskogee Hospital, I believe, the second time. And Muskogee Hospital gave me Benadryl. They also said at that time I had a lung infection, and so they gave me a Z-Pack, I believe, and sent me home. Now, it's important to remember that these 3 or 4 days leading up to before I got to the hospital, I really don't remember any of it. I mean, as far as any things I did, as far as said or anything, I don't have any memory at that time. Like my ex took pictures. I don't remember them taking pictures of me or any of that. So anyway, by the next day, by the third day, I guess it would have been, I woke up and my eyes were almost swollen shut, and my whole face was swollen. Looked like I got in a fight with Mike Tyson or something. Got myself beat up. And so at that point, I was also running a temperature that night. So at that point, my girlfriend started getting pretty worried and started asking people what she should do. And so they ended up driving me to Tulsa, which is about an hour and a half from where we lived or so, give or take. So when we get to the emergency room there, I have tiny moments of like when I first got in the emergency room. And I remember them at one point telling me that they might have to intubate me. But anyway, so got to the hospital. They said if I waited 24 more hours, I'm dead. So they admitted me. I believe it was the first or second day in there in the ICU that my throat started to close up and unexpectedly. And so at that point, they couldn't get an operating room open very fast. So there was a point, I think this is where my near-death experience came in, but there was a point where my oxygen levels dropped really, really low because they couldn't get me in quick enough. And so I think that's when I had my near-death experience. But anyway, they had me on a trach. They took me in surgery, bit of trach. I had, I guess, infection in my jawline from, I guess, some MRSA. And they cut that out because I got MRSA while I was in the coma. I had pneumonia. I had a reaction to lisinopril called angioemia. And then while in the coma, I got MRSA. So anyway, so I woke up from I had my near-death experience, and then it started bringing me out of the coma. I starting to come to, and I have to say this, my mom and my ex-girlfriend, both of them were there. Somebody was at my bedside every night for 29 days that I was there. There was like a couple times when, like for 10 or 15 minutes in between, that somebody wouldn't be there because they would take shifts. And my ex had to drive from Chakota up to Tulsa after she got off work. So anyway, they both were there for me. And of course, I called some other friends and family to come say their goodbyes on a couple of occasions. And when I came out of it, I really didn't know what had happened to me. I knew I was sick, but I didn't know why. I thought at first that COPD was trying to kill me. I thought it was strictly COPD. I actually thought at one point I was in a COPD hospital ward, just COPD. But anyway, I recovered from that, and came home. The first like 30 days home or whatnot, I was really, really dark and depressed and couldn't really comprehend everything that happened to me. And I was on 10 meds. I'd stopped like 11 before I came home. And I was suicidal, actually. However, I knew through my near-death experience there was something better. There was, paradise after we leave here. So I knew I didn't think I would get there if I killed myself. So that kept me from doing that. But I started searching online, trying to find a better way to either live or die at that point. And I found people online talking about cannabis oil for cancer. And a lot of people were having good luck with it. Excuse me. So I put that in the back of my mind and started trying different things I could find online, natural resources to better my breathing and to get off the medications and to live a better life. And so I wouldn't have any luck without the natural things. At least nothing was happening fast enough for me anyway. So I decided to try the oil, and I found a guy at that time who's since passed away, who was online saying, I don't care where you're at. If you need cannabis oil, I'll get it to you. So I lived in Oklahoma at that time. I said, hey, if you can get it to me in Oklahoma, it's highly illegal, but if you can get it to me, let's do it. So he started sending it to me, became friends, started talking all the time. And then we started working on the right strain, started finding the right strain. Next thing you know, just dropping meds. Then I started feeling better. So then I was like, I wonder what happened. I started thinking back to my great grandparents. I wonder what my great grandparents did, as far as medicine and how they ate and all that. And I could remember them taking me out, on farms to pick our own produce, and they would barter, and they also had barter with other people. And then they had there was somebody there they were friends with that had fresh eggs, and they'd get barter with them for eggs. And so I changed my diet, started doing all fresh, less red meat, more white, like chicken and seafood, and fruits and vegetables. Start dropping more weight, losing more meds. And so then I thought, well, what would happen if I'd exercise? So I just started walking. And that was the trigger at that point. Next thing you know, about a year after, I was off of all the meds. I was not having any breathing problems anymore. Wasn't taking any breathing medications, and lost all the weight and was in good shape. And so then that is kind of how I became an activist, because I just started speaking out in Chicago, Oklahoma about, and on Facebook about what had happened to me, and started doing interviews and started going around. And it's kind of how I got to where I went. But, for me, it's kind of crazy to look back on it and how I got to where I am now. Now I look out for other people more than I look out for myself most of the time. I have a big heart and a big passion for other people, and I feel like I have to help everybody. It wasn't me before. No longer drink. God just took that desire away from me when I moved out here. It's a blessing. And I just use cannabis, and I'm a pretty low key guy. Try to stay out of trouble and stay in my home for the most part, and out of trouble, and help other people. But like I said, when I look back on it, just to think about where I came from here to there, just how incredible it is, and how God's used me to reach so many other people across the globe. And that's been a blessing for me. And I think that's really been a calling that I had on my life, why I came back. And, like a lot of, when times get bad, when I get depressed, I've been going through, like I said earlier, my mother passed away. I've been dealing with that. And when I get in those dark, depressed times, I think about you guys and all the people I'm helping out there, and kind of picks me back up. And so I just wanted to spend a little bit of time. It's what was on my mind tonight. I just want to tell you a little bit more about my story and kind of what had happened. And it's still kind of hard to talk about all of it. So I don't go into great detail. And if I did go into great detail, it would be a lot longer video. So I appreciate everybody watching and listening on YouTube and on Facebook. And if you haven't, please like COPD Life Coach Jeff Waters page and follow me on there. I'm on Facebook jail again. Seems like get out and they find a post from 2 years ago and put me back in jail again. So I'm off of Facebook for 30 days. If you need to reach me, my email address is jeffwaterscopd@gmail.com. Love all of you. Appreciate you. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me tell my story tonight. Have a great evening.